Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Prime Minister to attend the Conference of Heads of Government in Haiti. New revelations on the Fortin Highway. And the stage is set for the election of this country's next president. In our top story, Prime Minister the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar will leave Trinidad and Tobago on February 16, 2013 to attend the 24th intersessional meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government in Haiti. Several very important issues, including strengthening the regional crime and security agenda, will be discussed.
Beginning on February 17, 2013, the Prime Minister will commence the chairing of a series of meetings, and on February 18th will then participate at a meeting which will see CARICOM heads hold frontline discussions on strengthening the regional crime and security agenda, the CARICOM Regional Aid for Trade Strategy, and a report on the regional architect for financial stability, among other things. In July 2013, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago will assume the chair of CARICOM, and it is expected that the Prime Minister will hold high-level talks with her colleagues on plans for moving the CARICOM agenda forward, especially during her time as chair. As chair of CARICOM, the Prime Minister will also take on responsibilities within the Community of Latin America and Caribbean States Quartet. It is anticipated that these engagements will allow for a more frequent and targeted interaction with her regional peers, which undoubtedly will enhance her ability to positively influence both international and regional events with the aim of improving the quality of life of all citizens of CARICOM. The Prime Minister is expected to return to Trinidad and Tobago on February 20th. During her absence, the Honourable Errol MacLeod will act as Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Larry Lumsden, News 4.
There is good news today pertaining to the Fortin Highway, following months of questions by members of the public. The recent news reveals that the highway poses no threat and is actually highly favored.
A preliminary report by the Highway Review Committee on aspects of the Debe to Mondesir segment of the San Fernando to Fortin Highway is in favor of the highway and sees it as being necessary. This was revealed by Minister of Works and Infrastructure, Senator the Honourable Emmanuel George, while speaking at the post-cabinet news briefing on Thursday. The Honourable Minister says Cabinet took the decision to reveal the current findings of the report to the public as the deadline for it expired on February 3, 2013. Minister George listed three of the findings as it pertains to the Fortin Highway.
First of all, the report finds that the chosen route or lie of the highway is considered superior from an overall perspective. And that from an overall perspective, I quote from the document. Secondly, the report states that the findings of a recent traffic study concluded that the highway route movement's proposal was not the preferable one, as it did not provide for traffic growth into the future, and into specifically up to 2030. And the third bit of good news that the report highlights, in my view, is that the hydrology report for the highway, which was done in 2007, was adequate for the bridge and culvert designs for the highway crossings. In essence, therefore, the issue of flooding is set aside by that report and the findings of the committee. So that the findings, the committee's findings, as indicated in their report, has no issue with the route of the highway or the impact of the highway on the environment.
The Honourable Minister did, however, state that there were some issues the committee had with regards to the process that was used to begin construction.
What the committee, in my view, appears to have a problem with, and I say this guardedly, is with the approach taken by the authorities in the process of building the highway. It felt, specifically, for example, that there should have been more consultation with the stakeholders, for example, with those people to be relocated and with other with environmentalists, for example. It also suggests that better arrangements for the provision of alternative lands for relocation of those who needed to be relocated should have been done well in advance. And it suggests, too, that better arrangements for negotiating compensation should have been made, so that a lot of these things perhaps may have been addressed prior to the actually proceeding with the construction.
Minister George says his ministry and the relevant stakeholders will take the recommendations of the committee forward on future projects. He also noted that there were some inaccuracies in the report, and he hopes that the various agencies would be given the opportunity to provide factual information that would correct the erroneous statements. He believes this occurred as several agencies were not consulted previously on several statements. The Honourable Minister says the committee did not sign the document, and thus he is of the belief that the report is a preliminary one. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
All is in place for Friday's sitting of the Electoral College in the Parliament. It is expected at that sitting that the Speaker of the House will announce Justice Anthony Carmona as the next President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
Fellow citizens, I have the honour and immense pride to have advised His Excellency Professor Maxwell George Richards, to advise the Honourable Chief Justice, Mr. Ivor Archie, and to advise the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Dr. Keith Rowley, that the Government of Trinidad and Tobago formally proposes the name of Mr. Justice Anthony Thomas Aquinas Carmona, Senior Counsel, as the nominee for the post of President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
This was the announcement made by Prime Minister the Honourable Kamala Persad-Bissessar less than 2 weeks ago, when it was revealed Justice Carmona would become this country's President-elect. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar says she remains assured that Mr. Carmona will be elected as the 5th President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago without any hiccups. His election to the post will be done at 2 p.m. on Friday, when the Electoral College meets in the Parliament at Tower D of the International Waterfront Centre in Port of Spain. The Electoral College is comprised of members of both houses of the Parliament, the Senate and the House of Representatives. The public is free to attend the meeting of the Electoral College, but will be seated on a first-come, first-served basis. Friday's proceedings are expected to last about 30 to 45 minutes, at the end of which Justice Carmona will be declared the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago in accordance with Section 31 of the Constitution. He will then officially be sworn in on March 18th at Knowsley Building. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
After the break, the security forces gets high praise from the National Security Minister. Stay with us. Welcome back. Health Minister Dr. Fortin is calling on citizens to continue in their fitness regime they followed prior to getting in shape for the carnival period. This, as he says, follows proper practices that will sustain a healthy lifestyle and achieve long-lasting well-being.
With carnival over and the masses departing from the gyms and jogging around the savannah, Health Minister Dr. Fortin is urging them to don't stop. Dr. Khan says while these habits change after the revelry period is over, the annual trend gives an indication of the level of health among citizens. And the key to proper health is making these habits not just a seasonal one, but part of one's daily routine throughout the year, all of which he notes his ministry is targeting through the Fight the Fat campaign.
The increase in weight of people over the carnival, and if you look at the carnival bands themselves and you look at it objectively with an eye looking at how we were 10-15 years ago to now, you will see that majority of men and women have become obese. And I think the Fight the Fat campaign, proper eating habits will have to be placed once more on the front burner and more in the public eye, so we can make people aware of proper eating habits and proper activity levels. One could exercise a lot, but without a proper diet, you end up still being obese. I would say the average obese content, looking at it, would be about at least 55 to 60% increased over the, well, let's say 10 years ago.
Minister Khan says lifestyle changes go hand in hand with preventing non-communicable diseases such as hypertension and diabetes.
Is proper eating habits and activity. Now, if one does a continuous activity for every day, for an hour, however it may be, once you've done more than yesterday, then you're on your way to success. Let's suppose one day you do one push-up, or you walk 10 minutes, the next day you walk 20 minutes. That's a plus. But you're doing it. And cut down on the carbohydrates, cut down on the sugar.
He's advising citizens to include more protein and fiber in their diet if they wish to see the health changes needed to live a fulfilling long life.
So what you do, more beans, more fiber, more fruits, more vegetables, and if you're hungry, eat something that will fill you but not give you calories. That will be bran, whole wheat, carrots. I tend to chomp on a carrot when I'm hungry, and I feel like eating a cake or a donut when it's calling me, or a soft drink. I chew a carrot, or I eat a leaf of cabbage. Okay. And cabbage has the crunch, and carrots have the crunch. They also have the sweet, all right? And they give you fullness, so you don't want anything after that.
Minister Khan is also thanking all medical staff for their turnout over the carnival weekend at the nation's health facilities. While nothing out of the ordinary is said to have occurred outside the normal injuries sustained during the carnival period, Minister Khan said all systems were put in place to ensure rapid response and care to citizens. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Citizens have recognized the efforts of the security forces during Carnival 2013, with many saying that they felt safer with the large security presence that was visible throughout the country. This was backed by the Minister of National Security and other heads of security forces.
Minister of National Security, the Honorable Jack Warner, is praising the Army, Police, Coast Guard, Air Guard and fire officers for the important roles they played during Carnival 2013. Addressing a press briefing at his ministry's head office in Port of Spain following the Carnival celebrations, the Honourable Minister says the season was one of the safest on record. He, however, acknowledged the tragic incidents that occurred late Tuesday night as being the only major incidents. Minister Warner described the joint safety measures by the police and defence force for Carnival as unsurpassed and unparalleled in terms of its implementation, and says it was as a result of strategic planning. He is of the belief that if this kind of effort was on a continuous and wider scale, the country will be transformed into what we want it to be. According to Acting Police Commissioner Stephen Williams, there were more than 3,800 police officers on the streets, not taking into account the number manning the stations. Williams said there had also been contingency plans in place in the event of police calling in sick. He said police were working to implement a strategy to ensure greater crime reduction throughout the year and ensures there would be a heightened police presence throughout the country. The intent now, according to the Acting Commissioner, is to increase police numbers on the highways, on the streets and across all communities. Meanwhile, Deputy Police Commissioner Raymond Craig could not provide statistics on the number of shootings, stabbings and other serious crimes there had been over the Carnival period, as he said those figures were still being collected, but he says a significant reduction has been observed. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Up next, News 4 goes behind the scenes of local football. Stay with us. From the joys of World Cup qualification in 2005 to the agony of defeat by Guyana in 2012, Sean Fuentes had a ringside seat for Trinidad and Tobago football. News 4 Sports recently caught up with the long-serving communications manager of the TTFF and got his views on the way forward.
Sean Fuentes is the longest-serving member of staff on the senior men's national team, but his duties as communication officer are not just limited to the Warriors.
As of now, it's all around. It's a one-man show basically because the federation is going through some difficult times, which is why the success we've accomplished here in Antigua means so lot to the federation and to the team and to football in Trinidad and Tobago. Basically, I've been press officer for the CFU, so basically working for the federation as press officer for all national teams, which involves all media-related matters in terms of disseminating information, videos, photos regards to what the Soca Warriors are doing in Trinidad and Tobago and outside of Trinidad and Tobago. For instance, this is the 8th Caribbean Cup finals I've been here with the national team. We've not qualified for the Gold Cup since 2007. I was also part of that campaign. That's 5 years ago, and here I am 5 years later with the boys following World Cup 2006. This is the biggest piece of success that we've been able to accomplish. In saying that, my role really is also to get the media, a collective effort in terms of the media coming together to showcase Trinidad and Tobago football, not just to the people back home, but also globally. Since 2006, the interest in our country and our football has grown tremendously. We've dipped in terms of the rankings and the performances, and now that we're trying to erase the, the failures of recent times, we want to get the media and by extension, corporate TNT, and also the people of Trinidad and Tobago more attached and more involved in terms of what is happening with football in our country.
Sean has chronicled the Warriors' triumphs as well as their disappointments, and he gave us his personal view from both ends of the spectrum.
Obviously, the height of the accomplishments has been qualifying for Germany 2006 and on what we accomplished under Leo Ben Hacker in 2005, going to Bahrain, qualifying for the World Cup. That continues to be the highlight of not just my career, but even some of the players and the members of staff. And then we really went to the bottom of the barrel. You saw, for instance, there were some competitions, the team didn't even have the finances to travel to the team. Well, the last second we were waiting to see what would happen. And this current team, for instance, going to St. Kitts, we were unsure of even being part of this Caribbean Cup finals. And, God willing, we've been here, and God willing, we'll continue to strive towards higher heights and continue to go to the Gold Cup, not just in 2013, but years beyond as well. Right now, I think the Federation is going through a transition period. The new president is on board, a new technical staff, new players are in the mix, and people are starting to believe in football again.
Sean admits that he is a die-hard Trinidad and Tobago football supporter, but says this group is dwindling. He says while the team's performance is partly to blame, the media has also contributed to this. He says, however, the team is on the rise again and urges the media to chronicle the success of the team as it will benefit everyone eventually.
Winning results plays a key part, and I think a lot of people have backed off of supporting the football because they think that there's no success to sell to the public. But hopefully we've gone some distance in terms of accomplishing that here in Antigua. And I think going to the Gold Cup too is going to be something where you're going to see the media coming together. And I think if we can all work together towards one objective and rather than just trying to sell a newspaper, then we're all going to benefit from it at the end of the day.
Sean is also calling on the football fraternity in Trinidad and Tobago to unite and work together to realize the dream of seeing Trinidad and Tobago at World Cup 2018 in Russia.
I would just like to, we all have our personal dreams. I would like to see football get back to being the #1 sport in Trinidad and Tobago, and Trinidad and Tobago, reaching the heights of CONCACAF again, and obviously qualifying for the next World Cup in 2018. We've already failed to qualify for 2014. But what I would like to see is the football fraternity reach a situation where we're all on one page, where we're working towards one common goal. I think there are a lot of divisions in the football fraternity in Trinidad and Tobago, which has been a setback in recent years, and slowly but surely we're trying to iron that out. And if we can accomplish that, then I think the country at large will benefit and see some of the positives out of this.
Gregory McBurney, News 4 Sports.
When we return, News 4 brings you highlights from Carnival in Couva. Stay with us. Welcome back. Carnival celebrations took place throughout the country this week, and News 4 took to some areas less celebrated for their carnival to experience for ourselves what Carnival in Central Trinidad is like. This is what we found.
Beautiful costumes, beautiful music, and beautiful people. These elements all come together to make beautiful mass in Central Trinidad. Couva came alive on Carnival Monday and Tuesday as masqueraders pranced and danced on the usually quiet streets. Those who weren't there to play mass simply came to watch and take in the sights and scenes of a Couva Carnival. Chairman of the Couva Carnival Committee, Ramchand Rajbal Maharaj, says Carnival in the area has grown. He cites an increased interest by residents and outsiders and a safe atmosphere as the reasons for the increased attention Couva Carnival has received.
We expect to have over 12 bands, large bands, parading streets of Couva and onto the stage for the grand prize. However, our activities over the last 6 days have been very, very successful. We had grill built up in Couva celebration. The interest was very high. It was safe carnival all the days that had passed.
Mr. Rajbal Maraj says the event would not have been possible had it not been for other stakeholders. Even the folks here at News 4 and at the Government Information Services received some enthusiastic praise and appreciation.
I want to thank a number of people who have made this possible: the Couva police officers, the Couva Tapakitapa Regional Corporation, my members of my committee, and the people of Couva and its environment. But today I want to thank GISL to cover a couple hours of our celebrations, and we look forward when GISL will cover the entire day's event in Couva.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
And that story brings us to the end of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Thank you for watching.